Hello, everyone. Everybody sounding so cool this morning. Are we all good? Okay. So my sessions are always very interactive. People are just, ads can be very, very tricky. So if you're an advertiser here, it's very important that you loosen up a bit when you come out of your laptop, right? So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much to Dami. We've actually worked together on my first Google Ads Masterclass where I introduced them to AdPay. So yeah, my slides so that we can get into it. But before we start, has anybody here tried Performance Max? If you have, show of hands. Have you ever tried the campaign objective before, or it's new? Okay, you have two people at the back. Have you searched campaign? Anybody tried search? Has anybody here run Google Ads before? If you have not, let me just see, just so I understand my crowd. I don't want to go too technical. If you've not done Google Ads before, can I see your hands, please? Just show of hands. You've not tried Google Ads at all. Okay, have you tried YouTube Ads before? Show of hands. Okay. Yeah, so this is me. I'm a digital marketing manager, pretty much, and I'm happy to be here, like I said. So very quickly, let's just dive in. I want to start with asking this question. Have you ever heard of something called the exposure effect? Now, research has shown that it takes people about 7 times to interact with your brand before they convert. Now, 7 times across multiple touch points, right? So for instance, let me just use Meta ads as an instance, right? Somebody will not just see your ad immediately and buy, except it's something that is really, really choking them. And even at that, they will still send a message and ask questions, right, about more of these things. So, but we are talking about Google today, so let's not really dilly-dally, right? So the exposure effect, like I said, people need to interact with your brand about 7 times before a conversion happens. And if you are familiar with Google Ads, a lot of people do search separately, YouTube separately, display separately, app campaign separately, and then try to make it work. Now, it does work. It's about 2015, back in the day, a long time ago, you could literally do only one campaign and it will work, right? But Google is taking more control over your campaign these days, right? So it's important that you allow the AI to do its job. And Mr. Jelly did an amazing, amazing job trying to just introduce to you guys what Performance Max is. But I'll be doing a lot more deep dive and hopefully also showing you how to set it up real quick. So why should you keep it simple? So like I said before, AI has come to stay. And if you're not leveraging AI right now, you are probably going way back instead of moving forward. And I know that people always say AI will take your jobs. AI will not take your job if you know how to utilize it to drive your results, right? So why you should keep it simple? Before now, somebody would do search, YouTube, app in the same campaign type. That's why I wanted to understand people that run ads here so that I don't, go too far and bring you home so that you can understand. People can run as much as 5 campaigns at once, right? Targeting different groups and all of that. But then you realize that all of these campaigns perform at varying degrees. One can do really well, one will do so poorly, and then you'll be wondering, my boss is asking me questions and all of that. So when Performance Max first came out, right, I was very excited particularly about it because it was something that was going to allow me to be more hands-off and work on my strategy and also the business itself. Because I'm of the opinion that if you are always focusing on the manual side of ads, always trying to tweak things, you are not really doing as best as you can. Because it was back in the day that targeting would work, all the whole targeting setup that you would do would work. But now, your creatives, your offers do the targeting. Right? So a lot of business owners today should just try and remove your mind from targeting as much because the machine will show the people that need to see it. But when they eventually see your campaigns, will they convert? That's the most important question, right? Because again, people are always concerned about, I need to show this in this particular way, I need to do this in this particular way. But at the end of the day, if your content is right, if your offer is right, if you just put it broad, you will make sales. That's the truth of the matter. Right, so next slide, please. Let's go real quickly into what we have today. Yeah, so we have just 4 things to talk about. Why PMax is non-negotiable if you are going to run Google Ads in 2025. The step-by-step live demo, I'm hoping that I can quickly do that, but I'll do that last so that we'll have time to really go through what we have today. 5 deadly Performance Max sins. A lot of people currently use it and they are making mistakes with it. So there are 5 things you must not do if you're running performance max campaigns and you want to succeed. And then the final one is the case study of an FMCG brand that used performance max recently and scaled by over 300%. Right? They were selling snacks to mothers. Very interesting market. So let's go next slide real quick. So why Google Ads Performance Max? Next slide. Now, I've tested Performance Max a lot. I don't only work with fintech people. I've also done some consultations and I've used Performance Max. And I've seen 2.8% higher return on ad spend. So return on ad spend is how much you're putting into your ad, how much are you getting back as profit. I've seen 2.8% increment when I use Performance Max. Now, even from a Google report that I can see from here, it also correlated with what I also got, about 2 to 3%. So Performance Max is doing the numbers right now. The second thing you need to know is people that are into FMCG as well. Before, people don't used to do use Google for shopping campaigns. People believe that Google, you cannot sell your physical products on Google because people use it for mostly search. But you'll be surprised how many people are searching for certain things in your area that your business will come out if you are in that industry, right? So, but I know that there are a lot of real estate people here. I try to like get a feel of what everyone is doing so that I can bring it home, right? So that I'm not really abstract, right? So, real quick, I don't know if there's another mic so that I can just get like an idea of where all of you work, so that I can make it more personalized. Is there like another mic? Sorry, excuse me. Is there another mic so that we can? I want to really I like my sessions to be quite interactive. Thank you very much. So I just want to get an idea of where you all work. Yeah, so what industry do you play in? Real quick,
real estate.
Real estate, okay. So next person, please.
Real estate.
Okay.
Same real estate.
Real estate, okay.
Real estate.
Beautiful. VTU. What is VTU? What industry is that?
Data and airtime.
Okay,
and utilities.
Okay, great.
So BTU also.
Okay.
Okay, coaching.
Okay, so you have personal coach and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next person at the back, real quick.
Real estate.
This is a real estate masterclass. All right, next person, please. Real estate. You as well. You too? No, I think you.
Not real estate.
What industry?
Fintech.
Great.
I'm a media buyer. I work with different brands.
What's the major one that you run ads for on Google?
I work with a fashion luxury brand.
Okay, so fashion.
Yeah.
Cool.
Real estate.
Oh, you should have told me that. I've always but anyway, okay. So I'll run through this very quickly and then I'll try to make it more personalized based on the number of people that are here, so you can take something back home that you can use for your work, right? So as we're going through it now, localized impact. I saw somebody test Performance Max in Ibadan, Abeokuta, and the person used predominantly Yoruba, and the results were crazy, right? So a lot of people in Nigeria that run ads are always afraid to try new things, right? Communication is advertising, right? People being able to understand what you are saying in a way that works for them, that sounds easy to digest, is good. So if Yoruba is what your audience would be able to relate well to, don't be afraid to test it. And that's what you can see from here. 88% growth because they used the right language in the right location, right? So Performance Max can also go, from my testing as well, I've seen that it goes live faster than your normal campaigns from my approval perspective. So the truth of the matter, I'll still get into I'll go more in depth, but I just have to set this baseline so that we can really go into this. Now, for the future proofing, now AI, even on Meta, on other platforms as well, they're taking back control from the advertiser. Before, like a couple of years ago, you could literally control every single thing, but now it's changing. So if you want to be future proof, you want to ensure that you are able to stand the test of time and stay competitive, you have to trust the AI to lead you a whole lot more. But you still have to guide the machine so it doesn't go haywire. So in 2025, there are a lot of cookie depreciation. People are now going like first-party data, iOS updates. I'm sure if you use an iPhone here, you must have seen ask to track or ask not to track. So AI is struggling right now to get people. So you have to be sure that you give it the opportunity for it to work best. So next slide. Okay, so like I said, I like to really I don't like to go so deeply into like the bluff. I like to go really into it. So we are going straight into the setup, right? The walkthrough. Now, I won't be able to really demo it as well because I'll need to like have all the assets together, but I'll just ensure that you have an idea of what you need to succeed in Performance Max. Now, number one, you need a lot of creatives to succeed in Performance Max. So when I say creative, the kind of ads, your images, your videos, your GIFs, everything, the more you have, the better your campaigns will be. Now, if you're a marketer here and you only have one, maybe you did a very good video and that's the only video you have that isn't to run your ads, you are playing with fire. The reason is this: what happens when that video stops working? Right? So you have to develop the mind of testing. As soon as you're about to start a campaign, ask yourself, do I have enough assets? Assets meaning creatives, before I launch this campaign. If you don't have at least 5, you're not ready to launch that campaign yet. And this is true for Performance Max, because the more you have to give Google, the easier it is for them to work with you to give you the results that you're looking for. So for graphics, right, high resolution graphics, if you want to use graphics for your Google ads, as much as possible, I see people doing this a lot. Don't use stock images as much as possible. If you must use stock images, let them be localized. Now you're selling something to somebody in Lagos and the person in your graphics is looking like a white man. How now? How do you want that to work? Right? So, for instance, you're in the north, right? If you find somebody in the north that can give you content, maybe you allow you to take their pictures and then use it in your ads. When somebody in the north sees that ad, it relates to them than using maybe something you found on Google. Right? So, the better the quality of your assets, that's your graphics, the more easier it will be for people to see it and be attracted to it. Because people have very short attention spans. In fact, with the way TikTok has come into the world now, it's even shorter. That's why you see a lot of creators that are really successful on TikTok having less than 15 seconds to entertain you before they move to the next thing. So the person that is going to be interacting with your ad on a day-to-day basis does not have that time. So you have to ensure that it's like a first date. Imagine that you want to go on a date with maybe somebody you'll be toasting for a very long time. I can bet that you wear your best clothes that day. Especially if you saw it that pursuing, the person have saying no. When she eventually says yes or he says yes, you want to look your best. So this is the way you should also think about your ads as well, because this is your first time people are interacting with your business, right? So 5 really, 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 really good graphics that even you would see and you would like. Then if you are going to use videos, don't make it too long. Remember what I said about attention span. 15 to 13 seconds, if you've not said it, is too long. Whatever it is you are doing, if you cannot share your message in 15 to 30 seconds, you have wasted your time, because people will not watch to the point where they will get the value of what you are trying to tell them. Right? So make your videos really short, if possible in multiple formats. Now, this is what I mean by formats. I'll show you all of these things when we get into the Google Ads Manager. When you are watching a video on Reels, for instance, you see that the dimension is kind of in a square landscape that's like this, right? If you're shooting your content for your ads and you flip it like this instead of like this, right, you'd realize that when that is used as an ad, it doesn't fill the entire screen. It will be in that square, like as if it's a YouTube video. So when you want to create I know that is a lot of work, but as advertisers, you need to be able to be prepared to do this work, right? When you want to use your content for user-generated content, if you have someone that's an editor, shoot in landscape. Always shoot in landscape, because it can be turned into portraits. Now, shooting in landscape is holding your phone. Sorry, let me just use this as an example. Now, if you want to make a video for your ad, maybe you have like an influencer you want to use. Some people just do like this and then post it. Right? The problem with that is that you cannot turn it into a video like this, but you can turn a video like this into this. Right? So when you're trying to shoot your ad for real estate, for whatever, always try and make sure that your videos are shot in this way. Use the back camera as much as you can as well for clearer content. Now, like I said, if someone that knows how to use CapCut or all of these editing platforms, they can turn this video into this, but you can't turn this into this. Right? So 15-30 seconds, and then ensure that, thank you very much for that, and then ensure that it is showing your product or service in action. Somebody should not just come, hey, my name is this, that. I want to tell you about, no, people will move. Let them see your product or service in action. If you're in real estate, you are showing if you're in real estate, you are showing a land, you are showing a property, you are showing the benefit of the thing. Real quick, value dropped, move on. right? If you are using an influencer, it's not the one that will not come and be sitting down and be telling you, I found a very interesting house. What is the house? Show us the house. Nobody has that time, right? If you are selling data to people, what is the value of data that you are selling to them? Is it cheaper than MTN? That's straight what the content should be. Stop spending too much money on MTN and I'll cheaper something for you here. But what is that? Let me see. Do you understand? So like you have to ensure that you are going straight to value. No, because again, like I said, attention span has reduced. Now, if you are going to use text, because you have to definitely use text on performance, I'll show you everything like I said. It's important that you mix urgency. And Nigerians do not like when something is about to finish. So don't tell lies when it's not limited. But if it's limited, I know that there are not a lot of things. For instance, for properties, you already know that it's already limited because there are not so many in the market. So you must always drive from that point. If you miss this, there's something called fear of missing out, right? That people would definitely relate with. Nigerians don't like carrying last. We're always very competitive people. So if you can find a way to ensure that you are using urgency in your marketing, always use urgency. Always. Now, for audience signals that work, like I said, I'll show you some of these things on the Performance Max campaign. But there are signals that you need to send to Google to ensure that they show your ad to the right people. If you leave it very broad, they will run around. But you have to give them certain signals that relate to your business. Now, I'll give you an example. For someone that said it was a fintech, right, over there, people are searching how to save. If you open your Google search right now, you see how to save. You see a lot of other options, how to save in Naira, how to save in dollar, how to do all of that. So people are searching how to save. This is a signal that you can give to Google to help with showing your ads to the right people. Now, for someone that said it was into fashion over there, there are luxury shoppers in Nigeria right now, and you can call them in-market audiences. Where can you find these guys? You make it very, very clear. Now, the mistake a lot of people make, first of all, when it comes to Google Ads, is putting Nigeria as a placement. That mistake is the one I see happen all the time. If your business is in Nigeria, right, there are places where you have your potential customers than the entire Nigeria. Now, remember that ads are expensive. You don't want to be testing everywhere. So before you even open your laptop to do any marketing at all, you need to ensure that you've done your homework. Number one, who is my customer? Where do they stay? Right? You have to really, really understand that. Your customer might not even be in the north. You have to do that research before you run your ads. Who is my customer? Where do they stay? What are the things that they like? Because Google is the only platform in the world today that has the highest number of data on a human being. You use Google Maps, you use Gmail, you use YouTube, you use Google Search. All of these things are data points that Google has on a single human being more than any other person. So Google is the smartest platform that can get you who needs what you're selling. But at the end of the day, you have to understand who needs what you're selling before you can show that to Google. So before you even open your laptop to set up anything, ensure that you've done your homework already. People that are doing real estate, are my customers in Lagos or are they in Abuja? You have to know. If you don't know, ask people that are in your industry. People that buy from you, where do you come more from? Okay, in Lagos, where in Lagos? Because that way you're able to now manage your budgets and ensure that you're able to be in the places where your customers will see what you're selling. But if you use the entire Nigeria and you don't have enough budget to push it really hard, you realize that you're falling short. Right? So, for small business owners, if you are someone who imports goods from China, so these are just examples, right? So, like Jelly was saying, see how you can put this into your own context as a business owner. If you are a coach, where do you want to get customers from? Where do you want to get clients from? Right? So next slide, please. Let's go. Okay, so this is supposed to be the live demo preview part, but I'll do this after the class so that we can set up together, right? So that when you go home, you can also follow along as well. So when building a performance max campaign, there are three things that are really important. First, your conversion goal. What do you want people to do when they see your ad? That's the mistake a lot of people do. They don't know why. They're just running it because they want to run the ads. But what action do you want them to take? Do you want them to become a lead? Do you want them to buy what you're selling? Only just for awareness? These are all important metrics, but you have to define just one and let that lead that campaign. Now, for people that are in real estate, I'll try and see how I can touch everybody real quick. Your number one goal will be leads, right? Getting people that will be interested in what you are selling. Now, when you understand that's what you need, you have to also tell Google that that's what you want as well. Because one thing for you to say you want something and not let the platform that you're using know what that thing is. So first, you have to set up tracking. You have to, if you are not able to tell Google what the conversion means to your business, you are going to be wasting your money. So this is what the tracking will look like. It's going to be a little bit technical, but if you have someone that is like a developer in your company, someone that built your site, this is the person that you're going to be working with to do this, right? I believe that there should be something called a lead form. So your real estate website, you guys have lead forms where you get information. Show of hands, please. If you have a real estate website here, you have a lead form that where you collect people come in and put their information. Then you now reach out to them. You have to go on Google and ensure that Google can identify when somebody has become a lead. That might be something that I might not be able to do. So get the person that built your website and work with that person. If you go on YouTube right now, you search how to track on Google, you see thousands of videos. So just follow it and then see how you can identify when somebody has become a customer for your business. Now, uploading Nigerian-centric assets is the next one. Like I said before, if you are marketing to Nigerians, as much as possible, make your ads relatable. You are spending money. You cannot be wasting the small resources that you have. Ensure that your ads are relatable. Right? So, upload Nigerian-centric ad assets. If you are going to use graphics, ensure that it is relatable. Ensure that the text in those graphics is something that your customer would see and understand. Now, excluding low performing locations. Remember what I was saying before about understanding where your customer is and showing up in front of them. If you are selling something to somebody in Lagos, you cannot be using Port Harcourt in your ads because it's going to waste your money. Right? So ensure that you are first things, you're setting up a conversion. Second thing, you are uploading Nigerian-centric assets. And then finally, remove any location that will not serve you. Don't try to say, let me see if somebody's there. That's why you have to do a lot of research before you start your campaigns. Right? Now, for real estate people, before I move away from here, since there are a lot of real estate people here, I worked with Veritasi Homes for a while, and I helped them do, I don't know if anybody here knows Veritasi Homes. Yeah, they're kind of like one of the biggest people in real estate sort of arena in Lagos, right? And when I audited their business, I looked at what they were doing wrong. The first thing that I realized was that they didn't have a follow-up system. As big as they are, their follow-up was not great. I tested it. I became a lead to show them that they were faulty. They didn't know. When I joined the company, I used a different email to prove to them that they were not doing really well. Now, when somebody becomes a lead through your Google ad campaign as a real estate person, thank God I've worked with a couple of real estate companies, so I can give you this one rich. The time between when they become a lead and when you reach out to them has to be extremely short. The longer you wait, the more you hear, I don't know who you are. Because remember, like I said before, short attention spans. They might have signed up, they might have been interested, but because it took you maybe 3 days, they forgot. And they'll be like, when did I do this one? Are you a scam? You see, so you have to follow up like your life depends on it. Because remember, you're selling very expensive stuff. Your products are not cheap. You're not selling sneakers. So your follow-up system has to be really, really effective. Somebody becomes a lead today. In less than 15 minutes, you reach out to them on phone if possible. Well, I saw you just reached out to us and I just became a lead. Thank you. What do you find interesting? Because that way, they still remember you than you waiting a very long time. This works for everybody as well. Google Ads, most of the people that use Google Ads use it for lead generation. So when somebody becomes a lead, you must engage them as soon as you can. And if possible, like I said, I've seen phone calls work better than emails. Nigerians don't really open their emails like that, right? Next slide, please. So I don't know, is anybody following? You guys are looking at me. That's just... Yeah. All right, cool. So I call this the 5 deadly performance mark sins that you must not do. Like I said before, using blurry product images. Remember, I'm very, very particular about the quality of your creatives because they can make or mar your campaign. Now, sometimes the AI will take your creative and turn it into what it likes. To twist it, to turn it, to do whatever it wants to do with it to try and reach the right people. If the quality is not great, by the time you come across your own ad, you'll be afraid. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. You'll be like, this is not what I launched. Why is it looking so messed up? The problem is because you didn't use the right quality in your campaign types, right? Like I said, Google would also downgrade your quality score if your ads are not good. Because guess what? No platform in the world wants their users to leave their platform. It's just the same thing with Meta. If your content is not good and nobody engages with it, they will not push it out. Right? The same thing with Google. So if your quality score is dropping, it's going to be dropping your reach, and when your reach is dropping, the people that will be able to convert will not see your ads. So ensure that again the quality of your ads are really good. The next one I've seen again happen, Nigerians that run Google ads, I see people doing this a lot, and it's always a big mistake. Don't use Nigeria as your placement. Where in Nigeria do you want your ads to show up? Because again, Performance Max is a very expensive campaign. It's going to be utilizing the entire Google ecosystem to try and get you your customers. So you are talking about Gmail. Sometimes if you open your Gmail, you see some ads there. Google Maps, YouTube, display, and search. So this is a very expensive campaign for you to launch. So you don't want to waste your money in trying to reach out to people that will not buy what you're selling. The third thing that I mentioned this before, you're not tracking your conversions. Google doesn't understand what the conversion means to your business. You're flying practically blind. That is wrong. The next one is overlapping your search campaigns and performance. And I've explained this one very well. Some people, when they launch their Performance Max campaign, they also launch a search campaign at the same time. That's wrong, because Performance Max would also do search campaign for you. So you are fighting yourself. If you want to run Google search ads, run Google search ads alone and don't use Performance Max, because when you do, you're going to be cannibalizing. That's what they call cannibalizing your budgets. So if you want to run Performance Max, use it alone or don't use it at all, than combine with any other campaign, because it will definitely cannibalize your budgets. And then the final one is setting it and leave. Because I said it's AI, you will not leave it and go and be sleeping. That one in itself is also bad. So when you set your Performance Max campaigns, you want to also ensure that you are taking out time to look through and tweaking things where needed. Now I'll explain to you what you need to tweak. Please, next slide. I think we are almost at the end. Yeah, so before we get to the case study, I'll explain the things that I need to tweak. Now, if you remember when I was talking about using the right creatives, right, using the right ads for your campaigns, there will be times where they will start to reduce its efficiency, meaning it will stop performing as it used to be, right? That's the time we need to start switching things up. So this is what you would do. When you find the right kind of creative that works, right, you need to scale the success of that campaign by duplicating what made that thing work. So for instance, use the video of an influencer, maybe use 4 influencers in your Performance Max campaign, and then one of them is the one that is doing really well. The others are not doing so well. Maybe you try and put them on a scale. You see the first, second, third, and fourth performing ones. What you want to do is take that first one. Note, if possible, you can get them to make another content for you that was quite similar to what worked. But the next thing you can also do is, who are the people that are also similar to what this person is creating? Right? So for instance, let me look for somebody in the industry. I'm trying to see somebody that has the kind of similar style. Maybe Sydney Talker and maybe Nas Boy. I think they have almost the same kind of content. They're both doing skits, right? But both of them have almost the same similar style of going out there and doing a lot of stuff in open places. So if you find something that's working, you want to duplicate that success and introduce it back into that campaign. That waiting for everything to just die and not start trying to fix. So create about every 2 weeks at the very least, go into your Performance Max campaign and then see what you can tweak. Now, this is the major thing that you can do. Google has 3 types of, I don't know if you run search campaign here, let me just make it very simple. Google has 3 types of ways in which your ads can show up on Google. The first one is broad keywords. Now, broad keywords pretty much means, let me look for something simple. White, maybe men's shirts in Lagos is your keyword. Maybe you're selling men's shirt, for instance. Men shirt in Lagos is your keyword. Now, what Google will do, remember that performance match you cannot control much. All you can just do is set it and allow the AI to find what is working. But AI has not really gotten to the point where you can just allow it to do everything by itself. So you also need to be able to control it to direct it in what you need it to do. Now, men shirts in Lagos, or let me just say, men shirts in Lagos is my example still, right? Google will take men and instead of people looking for men, instead of people looking for shirts separately and people looking for Lagos separately. That's what broad match does. You realize that will waste a lot of your money. The next one is phrase match. Now, men shirts in Lagos is still the keyword in which you are trying to launch your campaign. What phrase match would do is to take that men shirt in Lagos and make it shirt in Lagos for men. So it will change the phrasing, but it's still the same thing that it's trying to do. Right? So I've tried to make it very simple. Then exact match will now make men shirt in Lagos what will now show up no matter what anybody is searching for. Whereas the performance match campaign, Google is using majorly broad. So you want to go into something called your search terms. What are the things that are showing up for when people search for your products on Google? Most of the time, they're always wrong. I'll give you an example. I was running ads for PiggyVest one time, and people were looking for something very obscure as you're coming up for things like how to make money quick. You're coming up for things like that. Dollar checking accounts, really weird things. So you want to go into your Google account when you have launched your campaign, into your search terms and exclude these keywords. Now, for instance, you're not selling clothes to women, but women's name will also come out. And because it's pay-per-click, when people see it and click on it, you're going to be spending money on the wrong keyword. So you want to ensure that you're taking out time every 2 weeks to go into your search terms and excluding all of these wrong keywords, because this can affect your campaign. Guess what? When people are eventually clicking, they don't have any intention to buy, but they will still be clicking on your ads and it's costing you money. Right now, on the internet, there are two types of people when they interact with you. Number one, some people are there for research, while some people are there to buy. When they see your ad, because when you're running your ad, you come up on the first result on Google, and they click on it. It might not be that they want to buy, which is why you need to always be excluding those people that are not looking for what you're selling. Right? So let's go into this case study. Next slide, please. So this was an I wish that I knew that we were going to be more real estate people here. I'll have made like a proper real estate case study because I've done some ads for real estate people. So this was a business that sold snacks. Right? Remember what I told you about understanding where your customer is? They knew that their customers were in Lagos. They were not in Banana Island. They were in the local side of Lagos, which is the mainland, like inside those K2 or Jota Mile 12. Right? They didn't think of going to go and run ads in Ikoyi or Banana Island. They understood where their market, like I was saying before, where their market is, and then who is going to be buying what they are selling. Now, they were running the ad before doing everything, using normal shopping ads, normal YouTube ads. They had a very low click-through rate. Now, click-through rate is when somebody sees your ad and clicks to your site to buy what you're selling. If it's less than 1%, or if there's about 2.something%, is low, because guess what? It's pay-per-click. So when people see your ad, they should click on it. Unlike Meta, that is more about pay-per-view. So Meta charges you based on how many thousand people see your ads. Google charges you when somebody clicks on your ad. So there's the idea that when somebody sees your ad on Google, they should click on it. So your click-through rate on Google must always be higher than Meta normally, but it was low, and they were costing out. The product was about 3,000 naira for one. It was costing them 5,000 naira to get somebody that will spend 3,000 naira. So that was already a loss, right? So when we introduced performance mass campaign to these clients, the first thing that I told them to do, remember like what I said before, creating really engaging content to ensure that your ads work. We created 10 localized images. We took market women, took their pictures, took the pictures of young mothers, took the pictures of mothers that just got married, and turned them into ads. So when a market woman sees it, he relates to her. When somebody that just got married sees it, he relates to her. So we try to look at who are the people that need to buy this thing. So before you even open any campaign, you need to do a lot of homework before you run any single ad. If not, you're going to waste money just the way this lady was wasting her money. Now, the audience signal that we used for her was Lagos moms aged 25 to 45 that were searching for healthy snacks for kids. Please go back to the last slide real quick. So this is like, you know all these fruits, dried fruits. I don't know if anybody has tried any dried fruits from, what's the name of this company that does more of it? This is like, real fruits. So dried mango, dried all of these things. Mothers always want to ensure that their children are eating healthy. So if you're able to show them a product that their children will enjoy and also make sure that they're healthy, you will become a customer. So people are buying in wholesale, in cartons, to sell in their own shops. Next slide, please. Let's continue. So now, remember what I told you about showing up in the wrong places? They excluded places where big people were staying. They knew where their customers were on the mainland. So anywhere that was on the island was excluded from this campaign to ensure that it showed up only in the right places. Right? K2, myself, Ojota, and that axis. Right? Now, they ran this campaign for a month plus, because I'm going to give a very important tip about performance marks before we leave here, go away from here. And their click-through rate, which was less than 2%, moved from 1.2 to 4.8%. Their return on ad spend moved from 2%, 2 times to 6 times, because there's something called average order value. When somebody buys, especially for people that are in e-commerce, when somebody is buying one thing and the customer buys that thing in bulk, you make a lot more money. So the average order value of that product was way higher when they were selling it in bulk, because remember, K2, Ojota, a lot of markets are in these areas. So people were buying it in cartons and then stocking it in their shops to sell to people that were also mothers but they didn't have the opportunity to see the Google ads. Right? And then the revenue moved from 15 million to 45. I think they've already pivoted to something else right now. So the key takeaway pretty much here is the more hyper localized you're able to get, the better for you. The more you're able to immediately tell this is who needs my product or services and show your ads in front of them, the better for you. Please, next slide. All right, so like I said, I'm hoping that this was very helpful, but I'm going to get into the actual execution of the campaign now. It will still be very basic, but I'm hoping that the things that you heard here today are going to guide you where you need to launch your campaigns. Number one, think about where your customers would be. You cannot be using broad, because remember, performance marks is really expensive. So you can't be everywhere at the same time. You have to be where your customers are going to see you enough to take action. You have to also understand what the conversion means to your business. Are you looking for leads? Are you looking for sales? You want people to know about your business. That way, even when you are trying to explain what you are doing to people that know about your business or who needs to know, for instance, you have a boss. You tell him you are doing this type of ad because you want to get this result. He will be able to understand. Not that you're trying to get sales, you're not looking for an awareness way, and then we'll be asking you why you're not selling anything. So Google has to understand what the conversion means to your business before you launch your campaigns. If not, you'll just be going round and round and round in circles without making any money or getting any leads. Right, so next slide, please, before we go into the actual execution. Now, this is the final take I have before I show the screen, right? Mastering performance marks in 2025 isn't just about leveraging Google's AI. Performance marks is pretty much using AI, Google's AI, to determine who needs to see your ads and who can buy what you're selling, right? It's about combining hyper-local insights, strategic audience targeting, proactive optimization to dominate Nigeria's competitive digital landscape. Now, my final take for you before you leave here. When you launch a performance marks campaign, there's every possibility that in the first week you might not see much. It has happened a lot of times. You should not be discouraged, right? Because that first week, what Google is trying to do is to see how they can identify your customers. So it is not that week that they are going to make you sales. So explain this to your bosses, explain this to your line managers, that this is a very new campaign, that when you allow it to settle down, when it takes off, it goes crazy. But before then, it has to go through something called the learning phase. And that might take a week. Right? So I know it's very hard to spend money sometimes and not see anything happen. I'm an advertiser. I know how hard it is trying to explain these things, but the algorithm is changing. Right? So your bosses carry them along as much in your process. Also, it's not when you now start running the ad that you carry them along. From the day one, from the research phase, when you're trying to determine who your customer is and all of that, let them know what you are doing so that they can trust you to say, okay, let's see what happens. Now, when you're just running your ads and you're just reporting to them afterwards, right? So let's go into, is it ready now? Can I come? All right. Oh, okay, yeah, so let's take questions before we show. All right, so questions from the crowd, please. On that mic, second mic. No, let's use your mic so that it's recorded, because there's... Anybody else ask questions so that you can just go after him?
You. Okay, so I have two questions.
Go ahead.
The first is you mentioned keywords earlier. You know, you were saying broad, maybe narrow, and exact match.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I picked. Maybe you said it, but I didn't pick which is better.
Yeah.
To use for PMax.
Yeah.
Also, can we just go to maybe 2 slides before this? There was something I saw for the ROI page on the food. On the snacks, the dried fruit,
okay.
The ROI page, yeah.
Okay, so let me take the first one so that we can real quick. So in performance marketing, you cannot control what kind of, because they call it match type, Google would use, right? Because remember, it's completely an AI-driven campaign. If you're running Google search alone, so some people still use Google. I still use Google search separately when I want to like test certain things. Performance marketing is not the best to test certain things in your business. It's when you've already understood what is working that we would use this. So I would give you something that's really practical, right? If you've not launched Google Ads before, don't use performance marks. That's what I was asking before, if anybody here has run Google Ads, because Google will look at the conversions on your account before they're able to understand who needs what you're selling. So you have to use other channels on Google to let Google be very, very clear on who needs what you're selling before you come here. Because this one is going to maximize the data that you have on your customers on Google. So to your question, what kind of match type should you use for your campaigns? Personally, I'll go with phrase. I can explain the 3 of them before, but I'll tell you why I prefer to use phrase match. So people search for things in very different ways on Google, right? The way you search for the same thing will be different from him because of something called phrasing. Right, so phrasing is how you're arranging your words when you're putting something in the search bar, right? So if you are using exact, that's exactly what he said, is what you want to show. What if he says something else and this is the same thing that he's searching for? You realize that your ad, it won't show to you because you used exactly what he's looking for. So people make mistake by picking exact match, which is wrong. So for me, phrase match is the sweet spot between broad, allowing Google to do everything, and then the exact one. So in the middle there on that phrase, he uses something called this kind of this in quotations on each of the keywords, right? So when you're able to quote each of these keywords, you're telling Google that each of these words are important to me. Any way in which they are arranged, I still want to show up, right? So if you have not run any Google ad before, stay away from performance marks. Stay away from performance. I know that this is not what people want to hear right now, but you are going to waste your money if Google does not understand the conversion on your account. So your next question.
Okay. So the next question is under exclusions, non-urban areas that I get, but for competitor keywords. So the way I see it is, let's say PiggyVest, for example, now, you run a campaign for PiggyVest, and some of the search terms could be how to search, how to save money in dollars, or how to get good returns on investment monthly.
Yeah.
What happens? So are you saying it's not advisable to let keywords that rank for competitor searches also pop up on your ads? Because what I think is, if they see, let's say they know of another brand now, PiggyVest competitors, and that's the brand that they know. But is it bad when your ad shows to to those kind of people, or maybe I don't get the context
I will
of what that
explain.
is.
That's a very fantastic question. You should be bidding on your customers' keyword or your competitors' keywords. Now I'll explain. If I work in PiggyVest, right, I currently work in PiggyVest, of course, and I want to target somebody that is using Carrywise, for instance, I will create a separate campaign for Carrywise alone, because branded keywords competitor keywords pretty much are branded keywords for your competition. You don't want to use that to dilute your current campaign. So if you are trying to get your competitors' customers to see what you are selling, I prefer you create a separate campaign and then load it with your competitor names and all the other things that people are searching them for. Right? That way you keep things very clean and organized. Right? So, any other questions?
Thank you for that.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir, for this. This is not entirely based on this, but let me just...
Okay, just go ahead.
So I want to ask you, what's the difference between performance max and demand gen? Are they the same? And again, what's your take about it? Because the demand gen, according to the description I've been receiving, that demand gen also replace YouTube ads. What's your take on it, like your experience now, based on your experience?
Yeah, so there are certain things on Google's ecosystem that I've not particularly touched because I'm not seeing the need to, right? Demand gen, I've heard about it, but to be very honest, I'm not in there to use it for anything. Would it replace YouTube as a placement? No. Right? YouTube would always be there. It's a $1 billion generating platform for Google, so it will never go anywhere. But demand gen in itself is probably a new thing that I'm trying to put out right there, but I've not had the time to test it because all the things I'm using right now are still working. But if there's anything that really, really shakes the market, I'm sure AdPay will be very helpful to notify everyone here if you are connected with them that, oh, this is the new thing that's shaking the market. But right now, demand gen is not really doing so much that would make you feel like, oh, I should use this right now. Right? So what you have would still do the job. It will still do it amazingly well for you. Right? So yeah.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Any other questions before we go to Google? Okay.
So my question here is, what's the benefit of removing whole Nigerian from our targeted location to some certain areas?
Yeah, so like I said before, Performance Max is really expensive. What you'll be spending on search, you probably spend like 3 times that on Performance Max because we are trying to get the entire ecosystem to see your marketing, right? So when you do that, if you don't have a huge budget, if your budget is not a lot of money, and use Nigeria as a placement, you're going to be spreading that budget too thin. The budget that you have, you'll be stretching it more than you have to. So ensure that you know, like I said, if your customers are in the north is really big. Where in the north can people buy what you are selling?
So what we are selling is we are advertising B2 app, and it is everywhere in Nigeria.
I know, but even as it's everywhere, the places where it's the most profitable location. Thank you. People that can use it and make you money. That's what you need.
Remember, we are charging cost per installation.
I know. So, if it's the entire Nigeria, it makes sense. But if your budget is not really, really high, and you use the entire Nigeria, you'll be spending more. A whole lot more. So, like he said, think about, that's why you have to do a lot of homework. Like I said, I've been saying homework since. Because if you do a lot of homework, it will save you a lot of money. So, while I agree that it's all over Nigeria, there are still places in Nigeria that have a lot more money to put into it than others. So it is your job to find out these places and then use it alone. Eventually, when you start to make more money, you can start to expand. But when you're starting out, you don't want to be everywhere at the same time. Do you understand? So yeah.
So and at a time,
no, go ahead.
We used to set cost per installation, let's say 15 Naira. So we experience high charges. What caused that?
Well, so the exchange rates can also impact how much it's costing, because while AdPay is making you to spend in Naira, they are still being billed, like when they're doing their total billing, when they're doing their recon and everything, it's still going to be in USD. So that's making it, so that's why sometimes you pay like charges to use the app, the platform, charges to also pay Google as well for VAT. So, number one, reasons why your cost can go up. Maybe people have overseen a particular content you are using. So there's something called creative blindness. where they are no longer being able to relate to what you are saying in the but I'm very sure on Meta you have seen an ad over and over and over and over right now that in fact you are literally just when you see it, what is this one? You see, so that's why I said before that every 2 weeks you need to go into your campaigns and see how you can optimize them to ensure that they are not becoming boring to your customers. So rates of ads will always go up. As things get expensive in the world, it's going to also affect all the platforms that we use for ads, including Google. So it's your job as the person that is the business owner to see how you can make more money off one customer. So if somebody enters your business, bam, how much can I get from this customer to ensure that I maximize the amount I spent in acquiring him? You understand? So yeah. I hope I was able to answer your question. All right, cool.
Okay, so still on targeting.
All right.
You made mention of the fact that it's safe to have your products or your target audience within the space where your product is located. So take for instance now, in the real estate sector, you have a product in a particular location. Are you supposed to streamline your audience to that location alone? Bearing the fact that people move, they move around, they walk around, they go different places. And in respect of the fact that they are in a particular another location, they might still want to actually buy in your location. How do you now know which
how to
areas,
manage it?
how to manage it?
That's a very fantastic question. So in your Google Ads campaign, you can pick states. You can pick Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. So in my experience of doing ads for almost a lot of people, right, and spending a lot of money on ads, I've realized that the top locations in Nigeria, right, at least from, I don't know, I'm not really played as much in the north. I don't really understand what happens there, and that's the truth of the matter, right? But if you're looking at the west and maybe the east as well, you're looking at Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Delta, Benin, and then for the east, Enugu, Anambra. So like, that's why I said you still need to do your homework. People are moving, but where are they moving to and buying houses from? Right? So once you've done your homework, instead of picking the entire Nigeria, you can do Lagos, Abuja, depending on where your customer is, right? And that way you see, instead of picking the entire Nigeria and showing your ads in Jigawa, everybody's going to come to Lagos and buy your house. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, any other questions before we go into? Okay, I think that's about it. All right, so let's do this. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to be operating from here. Okay, no problems. Okay. So this is just going to be a showcase of how to set it up. By the end of the day, you still have to do the homework first, prepare your creatives first before you load them into your ads manager or your ads account, as the case may be. So, yeah, this is for the people that have never seen a Google Ads dashboard before. This is what it looks like. When you start to run your ads, you start seeing data show here. Right? Why you're seeing the data right now is because this is a very new campaign, right? So to create a performance max campaign, very easy, very straight. You go to the green button, this create button here. This one that says create, you click on it, campaign. Yeah, so when you get here, you realize that you can't find performance max, right? Look, you guys look at the screen so that you guys can follow. If you want to come here, it might be a little bit weird, but yeah. So if you are here, you realize that you can't find the performance max campaign because it is something that you cannot particularly control, right? So you now see where it says create a campaign without guidance, right? So you click on that, and then when you scroll down, voila, here it is. This is where you find the campaign, just waiting for you to use it. But remember, like I said before, if you've not run any campaign on Google, you want to avoid this guy because it will blow out your money. Right? So, performance max campaign, you go down, you pick a URL. Let me use something very, very generic. And just use AdPay.com. So ensure that this URL, this website that I'm going to put, is what people are going to see when they click on your ad, right? What do you want them to see immediately they click on your ad? I prefer that you have a landing page ready at this point. the mistake I see a lot of people make is they put their full website here. I wonder why people are not joining their business or doing anything with them, because your website can be very distracting. Whatever it is you are selling, you have to have the right landing page to tally with it. Right? So here is not where you put your full site. Create a separate landing page for that campaign and then put it here. Right? So AdPay.com is going to be, for instance, that website. Right? So the campaign name is going to be, so I always like you to name your campaigns very, very well. Right? You have to name your campaigns very well, because if you're running, for instance, anybody that works in an agency, somebody raised his hand. I worked in an agency here before. You work in an agency. If you work with an agency and you're using one particular account, you realize that you can have 20 customers. Now, if you don't name it very well, you're going to make mistakes in different customers and you do the wrong thing. So always ensure that you name, at this point, name your campaigns very well. So let's just call it AdPay Test. So if possible, if there's a theme to your business, maybe you're selling a particular product, that's what you use to name this campaign. Right? So AdPay, maybe AdPay Masterclass. Let's call it AdPay Masterclass. Yeah, no problem. I got you. All right. Okay, AdPay Masterclass. Let me see. Sorry about that. So we're going to be done very soon. This is just a quick show. So you scroll down and then you click continue. That way you've already showed them what you want to do. Now, remember what I spoke about when it came to setting your goals. Your goals are really, really important. For some reason, internet does not want you to see what it is, but it could be anything from sales, leads, yada, 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 as the case may be. For some reason, network doesn't want you to see, but I guess we don't have so much time anymore, so we have to keep moving. Okay. So that did not show. Let's check that. All right. Okay, here we go. So now, what goals do you want to focus on? Remember, your goals, like I said, your goals are really, really important when it comes to your campaign. So if you want someone to buy what you are selling, Google has to understand that that's a purchase you're looking for. Same for forms. You want people to become a lead, fill the form on your site. You want people to, like I said, you want people to sign up, right? Maybe you have a newsletter, whatever you want people to do, or page view. There are a lot of goals that Google can help you to optimize for. So take your time to pick out the one. For instance, real estate people will definitely like this one, book an appointment, right? So if you select that, you have to set up the conversion, as you can see here. Remember I said work with your developer, person that built your site, to help you set this up, because it can get really, really tricky if you're not a technical person. But again, YouTube is there. You can use YouTube. There are a lot of help on YouTube that can help you set this up. So we name this again, like I said, naming is very important. AdPay Masterclass. Okay, so now these enhanced conversions, right? It detects and uses data customers provide on your site, such as email address, which can improve measurements and optimize your campaign. Now, if you have a conversion on your site, Google will be able to identify who converted, their information, their email, their names also, and their phone numbers if they put it on your site as well. So if you turn this on, Google would, for instance, for someone like you that sells data, right, Google will first go to people that have bought from you before to show them your ad in case they want to buy again. Something called retargeting, right? But just leave this on if you have conversions, right? So you want to go to the next side real quick. Okay, so now this is where you're going to cook your campaign pretty much. Now, I didn't really talk so much about bidding because, like I said, in Performance Max, Google will control a whole lot more of everything that you have there. But you want to ensure that you're bidding for conversions in your bidding side of things, right? Then, if possible, so this one, I don't always set a target cost per action because I want Google to spend that budget as much as possible. When you do this, you tend to spend 250. So I like to leave this one open for Google to do their, just take the budget I'm giving you and spend it and get me customers, right? So for this one, this customer acquisition side, when you have data, all of these things can now become important. You cannot say, oh, maybe for somebody that does, maybe you're selling like a coaching program for you that is a coach, right? And Google has seen your customers. You might want to say, okay, just go after new people only, Because again, you can only probably use a coaching program once. It's not like something like maybe clothing or shoes that you can buy over and over again. There are certain things that you can only buy once and you need a new customer to buy again, not selling the same thing to that same customer. So that's where you probably do this one. But for you to do this, you have to now define your existing customer list. So it's still literally sitting down on the fact that you need to have conversion on your Google account before you use this. So if you have a lot of conversions already and you use this one, you make a whole lot more money because Google will go straight to who needs what you're selling. But if it's a very new account, like I said, stay away from Performance Max. But today's talk is Performance Max and nothing else, which is why we are talking about it today. Right? So, but for the most people, you don't need to click on that because even if somebody has bought from you before, they might know somebody that needs it. So if you exclude a customer, what if their brother wants to buy? So for the most part, just leave this one like this. That's why I clicked on it first, because there are certain cases that you might need it, but for the most part, you won't need to click on that. Right? So let's move really quickly. Now, this is where things get very interesting. I spoke about location a lot today because people will just come here, click Nigeria, and then keep it moving. No. You don't want to do that. Now, for our brothers here that are in the north, maybe want to use Jigawa. Right? Now, as you can see from here, Jigawa is showing 51,000 people in that location. If you did Nigeria, you are looking at the entire Nigeria. But if you know that your customers are in Jigawa and you come here and you put Jigawa, right? Because there are 51,000 people there. Am I spelling it well? Yes. Because there are 51,000 people that are there, you have to go to a lot more people more times than the entire Nigeria. Now, when I started this talk, I spoke about something called the exposure effect, where somebody needs to see your business 7 times on average before they convert. Now, the smaller that audience is, the easier for you to get that 7 touch points. But if you're going after the entire Nigeria, for one person will see that ad again, it might take a while. And you might need to see maybe 3-4 times, especially if you're opening in real estate. You want to see Lagos and Port Harcourt? Okay. Lagos, of course, is going to be way more, as always. As you can see, 16 million. Then Port Harcourt. So instead of going after the entire Nigeria, this is really important for you to understand where do you want to go, who do you want to see your ads, and then Port Harcourt 5 million. So imagine now that you say, for people that are in the north, you say you want to target only Jigawa, and people are seeing you over and over and over again. You have more opportunity than somebody that's going after somebody in Port Harcourt because of the numbers. So before you do that, you need to first of all ensure that you understand where your potential customers are before you do this. Right? But you should not use the entire Nigeria. You can add, for instance, you can add Port Harcourt here. You can also add maybe Lagos. Right? For people that are in real estate that says, oh, maybe somebody I want to buy from that's in Lagos, you can add it. And then you see you have 2 locations already. Right? So let's assume that we are trying to sell to people that are in Lagos and Port Harcourt. So we're just going to leave this and continue with the example. Now, for languages, English is fine. Because right now, even Google and Meta, you can't pick Yoruba, you can't pick Hausa for today. Maybe in the future, you'll be able to become really, really localized. But for now, English is the only thing that you can make your ads in. However, your creatives, like I was speaking before, can be in Hausa. There's no reason why you cannot create a graphic ad and put Hausa there instead of English. But this one, from language perspective, if English is maybe, for instance, like I gave you an example of, in my slide, of someone that targeted Yoruba people and used only Yoruba in their ads. Right? So, like I said before you launch any campaign, you really, really need to understand your customer. No, you can't streamline in Lagos. It's Performance Max. Although I think that you probably can, but I'm literally not there to do it because Google again is smarter than Meta in terms of identifying who needs your product. Because everybody here uses at least 4 Google products: Google Map, Gmail, YouTube, Google Search, at least, right? So while you can probably do things like Ikeja, for sure, I wouldn't advise it. Use it to run. It will run. Unless, but the only reason why I would do now, this is an exception. I'll give the exception. If you have a physical business, you have a shop in Ikeja, this is what you should do. No. The one limited use is Yaba, Okwebi, Ebute Meta. It's not the only one. The ones that are limited. See it under. It's only Yaba, Okwebi. But you see why? Yes, exactly. But that's why I like to leave the entire Lagos because, like I said, Google is really, really smart, right? But let's just leave Lagos and Port Harcourt for the most part. It's only when you are doing Google and Meta ads that I like to like really, really narrow down like that. But for Google, I allow Google to just target the entire state for me. Because remember that area, for instance, Ikeja is like an airport area. People that are there might be moving around. So if you say you want to target only Ikeja, what if these people that are trying to leave the country? You see what I'm saying, right? So let's just use the state as it is, right? So English is fine. Just leave this one as it is. More settings, let's just show what is inside. So now, this is where you set your campaign date. If you have maybe a Black Friday campaign or anything you want the ad to stop running at a particular time, you can come here and set it up. Maybe from today to maybe the last month in April. That's the entire time you are doing that particular. Maybe you have a type of house you are trying to sell real quick or a campaign you are doing in your company and you want to use the campaign for it. You can just do this, right? But for the most part, I like to leave it and let's just do its thing. Because I found Meta is something very, very sneaky. When you set an end date, they will now wait towards the end of the end date before you now start giving you results so you spend more. Something that I found them very, very sneaky thing. If you use an end date for Meta, you probably see some irrelevancies in your data until the end. You now start seeing it picking up towards the end so that you can add more money. This is the psychological trick they do for marketing people. But anyway, so for the most part, if possible, just leave it at off and have a mental knowledge of where it is so you can turn it off. Right? So I prefer not to set it and end it if you can. Just know where you're going to go and go to your account and just off it from there when you are done. And so I will not whine you. All right, so all of these are fine. Then you can go to the next part, which is the asset generation side of things. Now, Google cannot, this part, you should ignore it because Google will try to use AI here to generate this thing for you, but you don't need it. Just skip. When you can see this asset generation, just skip because I expect you to already have your ads ready to be uploaded here. Right? So you need to upload your ads here. Just leave this one for Meta. Any other person that doesn't have, let them leave it. So now, this is where you're going to be building your campaign. Now, if you look here, this is your performance marks will show your campaigns on YouTube, on Gmail, on Google Search. You see all those games when you're playing games and people will now be, before you know it, they'll click on the next thing, they show you one app or one product. That's what they call display ads. So display ads, you see your Bible app, you see some ads coming up. Maybe you're trying to watch something on news, or this is where they target people like that, right? And then Discover. This Discover will not really, really work as much in Nigeria because people use it to like find stuff. When you're doing like this Google Lens, when you put something on something and then you should Discover not really, really work well in Nigeria. But these 4 are where your ads will be rotating round on performance marks, right? So headline. Remember what I spoke about when I was talking about text? Your text has to have urgency in it and also needs to be catchy. Right? So, again, I cannot even put any headline here because it's going to be very, very difficult. But I'm going to give you a hack that you can use to generate because, as you can see here, you need to add 15 headlines. Unless you're a copywriting genius, it's too easy for you to generate 15. But you need to use the entire 15. So, what I usually do, I don't know if I can do this here, but let me try. So there's a particular AI platform I use called Perplexity AI. Let me see. I hope I can just do like a random thing here. So now, this connects to Google search itself, right? You cannot generate, unless you're someone that's really, really good at writing, 15 will be very hard for you to generate from your head. So you can ask the AI, for instance, I am hosting a masterclass. Remember, this is AdPay. Remember, we are using AdPay as the example. You can use it for your business, right? So I am hosting a masterclass for Google Ads specialists. Give me 15 headlines that I can use Use in my Google Ads Performance Max campaign. Okay. So now the reason why I like this particular one is because it connects straight to Google search. It will show you things that people are searching for, because it goes straight to Google, right? So I think it's a new update. I've not seen this before, but yeah. So you can just come here and use Pro, so that it really, really maximizes the tool to get you like really solid results. So let's see what it gives us. So to tell you that it's searching. So it will show you the sources. It will show you searching for effective headlines for Google Ads Performance Max. It will show you the sources. So it checked Reddit, it checked a blog, it checked a lot of things to bring out all of this. So, like I said before, AI is the future. If you are trying to do things manually, you are going to be sleeping on the table. So these are 15 headlines I can immediately test, right? Without even having to think too much. Now, this is data, but this is something that people are searching for on Google. And this has saved you probably 3 hours of racking your head, right? So you can copy one of them like this. Again, this is a complete example. And then you paste. But you might also need to edit. So I'll show you where things can get very tricky, right? You need 30 characters. Let's see if it enters 30. So you can see that from here is more than 30. So if you are copying, that's why I wanted to use this example. If you're copying and pasting like this, you realize that it will give you an error. Right? So what you can do is come back to the AI. Where are you? And then ask it to ensure that it's within 30 characters. Because that's the only way that Google would approve it. So that's I'm trying to make like certain errors so that you guys would see what happened in actual practice. Right? Because when you put that, this thing is not entering, it's not working. Okay. 30 characters max. 1 second. All right, so let's see. So it's going to generate again, but now it's going to make it shorter. Right now, if you copy this, but if possible, right, if you have somebody in your company that is really great at copywriting, let them do it for you. But don't show them this tool. Don't show them. So they will not, you'll spend your money that are paying them very well. Don't show them this too. So, and also, someone that's really good at copywriting can look at it and say, maybe you can tweak it a little bit to sound better, right, than having to just copy and paste. But if you're someone that does not have any experience, this can work, right? So, yeah, Meta can work. Meta can work. Meta works fine, but I prefer this one because it connects straight to Google. Remember, you're running a Google ad campaign. So you want people that are searching for certain things on Google's ecosystem to identify what they're looking. Meta will probably not help you with that, right? So as you can see, this one has entered 23 characters compared to the other one, right? And then you can do that, and do the same thing for headlines as well. Now headlines are not at 90 characters, so you can ensure that it always stays within that parameter to ensure that it doesn't really go too much. Same with long descriptions. So these are the things that you'll be adding one by one. So as you've told it to do let me give just a quick example. As you've told you to do a headline, you can also tell it to do a description for you. Since it already has the same context. Now description, just give me 4 descriptions for this one. 1 sec. So it would also, it should describe it, but let's see if it gives us in 90 characters. If it doesn't, you'd ask it to fix it up. So join our masterclass and learn advanced strategies to boost your Google ROI fast. This should be in there. So remember to remove that parentheses, or let it not be as if you copy from AI. So people just copy and paste these days. You don't need to edit anything. So let's just, I'm trying to see if I can get it. Yeah. Okay. So this description, about 60 characters, I guess. It's still long, but let's try it for the long headline over here. So okay, this enters here, right? So just have to keep tweaking to ensure that it falls within the character limits. Now, for images, you're going to want to upload your images here, right? So you come here, you click on upload from your computer, all the things you've done that you want to use for your ads. You need to upload at least 20. But if you have up to 5, that's fine. But like I said before, the more creatives you have, the easier, better it is for Performance Max, because they'll test everything and find the one that works, right? So I'm not uploading today, maybe next time. Then for your logos, if you have a logo, important, because sometimes on Google search, your campaign, your business might come out that might require your business name, and maybe your logo might be somewhere here for your company, right? Or for display, your logo will be somewhere in this image to ensure that your branding is good, right? Then your business name, put your right business name. For videos, remember what I said about videos, shooting in landscape and then giving your editor, if you for instance, maybe you are the only person that has access to shoot in landscape, give your editor to make it straight for ensuring that so don't upload only like this. If possible, if you have 5 videos, right, you can upload the same video. You can take one video, duplicate it where one is like this and one is straight, and then that will give you 2 videos. For instance, I shot maybe you saying something like this, and then I edit it in a way that is looking straight. That in itself has 2 content, because that will work on YouTube and also work on display on your phone when you are playing games and somebody like just pops up or any other thing, right? So you can do that across multiple videos, but just ensure that you have landscape and portrait when you're uploading. Also, if you have your content already on YouTube and if you connected your YouTube to your Google Ads account, you can actually just pick a YouTube video and come here and use it. Just paste the URL here, and then the video on your YouTube can also be used in your Performance Max campaign, right? So let's move very quick. I'm almost wrapping up. So for site links, right, I kind of like to avoid this one unless you are doing majorly search. But if you must, this will not affect your campaign. If you leave it, it's fine. But for people that have like different features on their sites, or maybe you are selling maybe shirts, you now have like maybe different types of shirts, you can have like all the links to them here, right? So for instance, in your website, you have like a separate link website for different things, but it can get very complicated. So that's why I'm not going to talk about this one today, right? But if you are going Google search, I might have spoken about it. But Performance Max, you don't need it. Your campaign will still work very fine, right? Then call to action. What do you want them to do when they see your ad? Do you want them to sign up? You want them to download your app? You want them to shop? You want them to sign up for people that are into real estate, shop for people that are selling products or services or courses or whatever as the case may be, right? So, but ensure that you are picking the right objective, right? The right call to action for your business. So for you now that somebody needs to download your app, you should not use shop now, straight to download, right? So tally the right call to action to what you're trying to do, right? Now, very quick, we're almost done. Audience signals. Now, what are some of the keywords? This is very new. This search themes is very new. It was not here before. What was here was only this one. But this would help you. Now, what are some of the things that people would use when looking for your product? What are some of the things that they would say when searching? It's very simple. You can actually go on Google now and put, I want to buy your product. And then you see all the recommendations that Google would give you. Just copy them and put them here. Up to 25. So people always make these things very complicated. It's very simple. Just go on Google and search for what people look for when they're looking for what you're selling. And then Google will show you all the other ways people are looking for them and just paste them here. That would be a very great signal for you to show that this is what I'm looking for and who I'm looking for to buy what I'm selling or to sign up or download my app, as the case may be. Right? So now, audience signal. I mentioned audience signal before in my slide for that lady that was selling snacks. This is where she came and set it up. Now, first-party data is something that you might not have because, let me just click on it so you see it, because a lot of you will leave here and go and set up on your own, right? You need to have data. That's why I'm repeating it again. If you've not run Google Ads before or you've not run successful Google Ads campaign before, Performance Max is not for you because it will take what you have and make it better, right? So as it is here, you can't use anything here because, again, this is new. So let's leave this one for now, and then come here, which is very important. Now, let's start with demography, right? Remember what I was telling you about who is buying what you are selling? Are they male or female? If you leave this one like this, Google will just try and reach everybody, right? So if they are male, leave them. If they are female, leave them. And then if they're male and female, leave both of them. How old are they? For someone that is real estate, someone that 18 years old cannot buy your house, or this person is a thief. House of 50 million, someone that, or maybe the person is doing crypto, of course, because there are a lot of young millionaires now. But the average Nigerian that's 18 years old is not house that is their problem. Right? So you want to ensure that you are picking up, remember, homework. If you've done your homework, you know how old your ideal customer should be. That's what you put here as the minimum. Let's assume 35 to 65. Right? And then other additional thing, are they parents, are they not parents? For people that are really specific. Now, that lady picked a parent because you're saying to mothers. Right? So you see how specific this thing can get. Now, those alliances just go crazy on its own to waste your money. Right? Now, we are done with this one. For detailed demographic, now I said before, Google is the only platform in the world that has the most number of data on a human being. So their targeting is 3 times more powerful than what Meta has. Facebook and Instagram combined, they are not up to half of what Google has in terms of data points on a human being. Right? So you can come here and then search for in-market audience, like I said before. What are the things that they're interested in, your customers, right? Are they people that are interested in cars? For someone that is in real estate, maybe this might be something interesting because someone that has a very good car can probably buy a house, right? So, or baby children products, like that lady that was selling snacks to children, right? So you have to be really, really specific about who, and then once you pick all of that, you can name it, and then you go next. You put the budget. So now for budget, you see that you must not spend nothing less than 26K at the very least, because performance max is expensive. Before you could have done things like maybe 5K or 10K. I'm wrapping up now. Yeah, so at least 26K. But if you want to spend more, you can edit this and put what you want in the custom budget. Maybe you have a lot more money to spend. You can come here and then put what you have, and then you go next, and then you launch your campaign. You go through everything, ensure that everything is fine, and then you can't publish it because we are not done with these things. Once it's in red, it means that there are things that you have to tweak here before you're allowed to be published. Once it's blue, you are good to go. Right? And then once you are done, once you publish it, that's about it. So yeah, that's about it for my session. So final words before I drop the mic. I know that this is a performance max event, but I'll still say again, if you have not run proper Google ads before, this campaign is not for you. Right? Focus on search, depending on where your customer is. Focus on Google. Focus on display if needed. But AdPay is really, 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 really fantastic because they're going to help you spend in Naira and not waste your funds by using dollar or having to find an aboki that would help you to do FX. Right? So thank you very much.